All right, buckle up, because today we're diving into some really intriguing territory, the kind of stuff that makes you go, huh, what if? We're talking about Admiral Richard E. Byrd and his alleged journey to a, wait for it, hollow Earth.
This is going to be good.
It really is. Now, most folks know Byrd as this total legend of exploration.
Right. Multiple trips to both the North and South Poles. A real pioneer when it came to, polar aviation.
Exactly. Not exactly the kind of guy you'd picture mixed up in, well, outlandish theories, right?
You think so, yeah. I mean, to emphasize just how respected Byrd was, there's even, get this, a lunar crater named after him.
Wow. A whole crater. Okay, that's a pretty big deal.
It is. Shows you how seriously people took his work.
So then, when this missing diary pops up, supposedly detailing a top-secret 1947 flight, one where Byrd stumbles upon, get this, a hidden world. Well, you can't help but wonder, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we're not just talking some vague rumors here. This diary, it lays out these incredible claims about advanced civilizations existing beneath the Earth's surface, hidden lands underneath all that ice. Even, and this is where it gets really wild, a message for mankind.
Okay, see, now you're speaking my language. Advanced civilizations' secret messages. Before we get to the really juicy stuff, the diary itself, let's paint a picture of who Byrd really was.
Good idea. Gotta set the stage right.
Totally. And both of our sources for this deep dive really highlight all that Byrd accomplished. So What made him such a giant in the exploration world? What set him apart?
Well, first off, Byrd was far from, some hobbyist with a plane and a dream. We're talking decorated naval officer, saw action in both world wars.
Wow. Both world wars. That's intense.
Right. And when it came to exploration, especially in those extreme polar regions, he was like a trailblazer.
Yeah, he really pushed those boundaries.
He did.
So how does a guy like that, a guy who, dedicated his life to understanding the natural world, how does he end up tied to something as out there as a hollow Earth?
Right. It's a good question.
Was it maybe his 1926 flight over the North Pole? Did that experience, plant the seeds for these later, more, shall we say, unconventional claims?
Well, that's what you'd think, right. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets kind of interesting. Even that flight, the one considered his claim to fame, it's actually, controversial.
Not so.
Well, there's debate to this day about whether Byrd and his pilot actually definitively reached the North Pole in 26. Some people, they look at the navigational records and say, doesn't quite add up.
Really? So there are doubts from the very beginning about Byrd's explorations.
Pretty much, yeah. And it gets even more complicated because different versions of that 26 flight story were published later, which just muddies the waters even more. It's like Byrd's whole story is this puzzle where the pieces don't quite fit neatly together.
It's like we're already finding cracks in the ice, and we haven't even started talking about a whole world beneath it.
Huh, I like that.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, was Byrd the first to imagine this hollow Earth idea?
That's a good question.
It wasn't exactly a new concept in his time, right?
Not at all. In fact, the idea of a hollow Earth, it's been captivating minds for centuries, literally. I mean, you've got Edmund Halley way back in the 17th century. Yeah, the comet guy, that Halley...
The way of the comet guy.
Yes. He actually theorized that the Earth was hollow, maybe even with multiple inner spheres, all based on his calculations of the Earth's density.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. So this theory's been around for much longer than people might realize.
Oh, yeah.
What about other big thinkers? Anyone else jump on board with this hollow Earth idea?
You bet. You've got Leonhard Euler, a brilliant mathematician from the 18th century. He envisioned a hollow Earth with, get this, its own inner sun. Then there's John Cleves Sims Jr. in the 19th century. He took it even further, suggesting there were these openings at the North and South poles leading into this inner world.
Hold on. Wait, openings at the poles. Okay, that sounds strangely familiar. Almost like something we might hear about in Byrd's own accounts. It seems this whole hidden world idea really had some serious staying power. Openings at the poles. Okay, now you've got me hooked. So let's get to this missing diary, the heart of it all.
It's where things get really interesting.
To set the scene, what year are we talking, and what's going on in the world when this diary supposedly surfaces?
We're talking 1947.
Okay, so just a couple of years after World War II, after the atomic bombs, humanity's really stepped into a whole new era.
Exactly. You can't underestimate that historical context, right? The world had just seen what these incredibly destructive weapons could do. People were on edge, uncertain about the future.
Yeah, a lot of fear and anxiety in the air. So, into all this walks Admiral Byrd, a man known for exploring the unknown, with a story about a secret expedition that took place on February 19th, 1947.
A story that throws everything we thought we knew about the world into question.
Lay it on me. What does this diary claim happened during Byrd's flight over the North Pole?
Well, according to the diary, as Byrd's plane is passing this point of no return, the landscape below, it starts to change.
Yeah.
And not just subtly.
Yeah.
Instead of this frozen wasteland, this endless expanse of white he was expecting, he starts describing, get this, rolling green hills, valleys, even rivers flowing with water.
Hold up. This is the Arctic we're talking about, right? Green valleys, rivers in the Arctic?
That's what makes this so compelling, right? It completely contradicts everything we understand about the geography of the North Pole.
But it gets even wilder.
Byrd describes looking at the external temperature gauge on his plane, and it reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
You're kidding. 74 degrees at the North Pole? What is this? Some kind of hidden tropical paradise?
That's the picture Byrd paints, a stark contrast to the icy wasteland everyone expected. And then he throws in a detail that, well, it's almost hard to believe.
Okay, what? What could be more unbelievable than a 74-degree North Pole?
He describes seeing a mammoth.
A mammoth. Like the extinct woolly elephant ancestor. A mammoth.
A living, breathing mammoth, according to the diary.
Okay, now that just stretches the limits of believability. I mean, a warm North Pole, that's one thing, but mammoths roaming around. What do you make of these details? Was Byrd being literal, or is there something else going on here, some kind of metaphor?
It really makes you wonder. It's like he's using these really outlandish details to signal to us, the readers, that we're shifting gears, leaving the realm of the ordinary and stepping into a realm of myth and symbol.
I can see that. And it gets even more symbolic, right? Because this idyllic landscape Byrd describes, it's interrupted. He says his plane is suddenly intercepted by a group of strange, disc-shaped aircraft. Disc-shaped. Okay, now we're talking flying saucers, right? Are we meant to believe aliens are part of this story?
Well, not quite. Byrd describes these aircraft, and some people think they might have been those German Flugelrads, that rumored disc-shaped aircraft design. But here's the thing. He specifically mentions that these aircraft, they had these strange markings on them. Not quite swastikas, he says, but swastika-like.
Hold on, slow down. Swastika-like markings on advanced aircraft in the Arctic. This is like an Indiana Jones movie. I get why this missing diary has become such a favorite among conspiracy theorists.
Oh yeah, it's got all the elements.
So what happens next? Do these mysterious aircraft blast Byrd's plane out of the sky?
Actually, no. According to the diary, they force him to land, escort him to this incredible futuristic city.
Wait, a city in the middle of the Arctic?
That's what Byrd claims. He describes it as something straight out of science fiction, with these shimmering buildings, technology unlike anything he's ever seen before. And it's in this city, this impossible city, that he's taken to meet the being he calls the Master.
The Master. This is who delivers the message to humanity.
Right.
What's it like to encounter such an advanced being? How does Byrd describe him?
Byrd portrays the Master as incredibly wise, ancient, like a being representing a civilization far older, far more advanced than anything on the surface world.
So why choose Byrd? Why reach out to him with this message?
Well, here's where the timing of all this, just after the dropping of the atomic bombs, becomes so important. The Master, he expresses deep concern for the state of the surface world. Almost like humanity's foray into the atomic age, it set off some kind of alarm bell.
It's like they were watching us, waiting for the right moment to intervene. Or at least that's what Byrd wants us to believe.
It definitely raises more questions than answers.
So what's the message? What did they want to tell us? What did this Master have to say to mankind? So this incredible city, this Master being, they choose Byrd right when humanity enters the atomic age. It's a lot to process. What exactly was this message?
Well, the thing is, it's not so much a greeting as a warning, I guess you could say. He talks about a coming darkness, a great storm that'll engulf humanity if we don't change our ways.
A great storm.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty ominous. Knowing what we know now about climate change and all that, it really makes you think. And for Byrd, I mean, a guy who's seen firsthand the horrors of war, this warning must hit home hard.
Oh, absolutely. You can't discount his own experiences. This was a time, remember, when the threat of nuclear war was very, very real. People were living with that fear every day. It makes sense that someone like Byrd, someone who'd spent his life exploring, understanding the world, he might be grappling with those anxieties about where humanity was headed.
It's heavy stuff, for sure. But it's not just, doom and gloom, is it? There's got to be some hope in this message, right? Otherwise, why even bother telling it?
You're totally right. The Missing Diary, it offers a glimmer of hope, too. This hidden paradise, this hollow earth. The master suggests it represents a chance for humanity to hit the reset button, to learn from our mistakes, build a better world.
It's like this promise of a fresh start, a chance to get things right. It's really interesting to me that Byrd never calls these beings aliens. He describes them as originating from within the earth. That feels different somehow, more profound than just a visit from like extraterrestrials.
Totally. It's like he's implying a connection, right, between us up here and this hidden world down there. Like we share a past, maybe even a destiny. That's part of what makes this whole Hollow Earth thing so fascinating. It's not just about physical space inside the Earth. It's like there's this space inside all of us, this potential we haven't tapped into.
Okay, wow. Now that's making me think. But before we get too deep into the philosophical stuff, what happens next in the story? The diary, it claims, Byrd told the Pentagon about this whole thing, but was ordered to keep quiet. Government cover-up. That's classic conspiracy theory territory.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Secret societies, hidden truths, the missing diary. It checks all the boxes. But here's the thing. Byrd's story, it's not the only one. Our other source, it mentions a bunch of other people who claim they, too, traveled to this Hollow Earth.
There are more.
Oh, yeah. You've got Olaf Jansen, for example. He talked about meeting these friendly giants who lived inside the Earth. Then there's Karl Unger, a German U-boat commander, supposedly, who claimed he, get this, surfaced in the Hollow Earth after World War II. And we can't forget Dallas Thompson, a researcher who vanished back in 2003 while he was out searching for an entrance to this hidden world.
Okay, now that sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
It's like the Hollow Earth is this magnet for strange encounters.
Right. It makes you wonder. But what's so interesting to me is that all these stories, they're different, sure, but they all share this common thread. This idea that there's another world hidden within our own, a place full of wonder and mystery.
So where does that leave us? We've got this incredible story from a world-famous explorer, a story full of wild details, a message of warning and hope. Do we just brush it off as fantasy, or could there be something more to it? What do you think?
Honestly, I think that's for each person to decide for themselves. What I find most fascinating about the missing diary, and really this whole idea of a hollow earth, is what it says about us, about why these stories resonate so strongly, why we're drawn to them. They tap into that sense of wonder we all have, that desire for something beyond the everyday, and maybe, just maybe, that hope for a brighter future.
I like that. Maybe it's not about believing in a literal hollow earth, but about what that idea represents. Possibility, hope, a chance for a fresh start. It really makes you think. If you were Byrd, entrusted with this incredible message, how would you convince the world? Would you write a secret diary? Would you disappear into the wilderness like Dallas Thompson? Or would you find another way to get the word out?
Now, those are questions worth pondering. It really highlights how powerful these mysteries are, how they capture our imagination.
No doubt about it. We've covered some serious ground today, from the frozen landscapes of polar exploration to, well, the even deeper, more mysterious landscapes of the human mind. And on that note, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But hey, this is just the beginning. We encourage you to check out the source material, dig into the history, the fantastical elements, and that enduring allure of the Hollow Earth. And who knows, maybe you'll uncover your own path to a hidden world within.